Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everyone to Why I'm Unscripted, a podcast series dedicated to talking about issues for the youth, from the youth. So today we have myself, Abdurrahman, and Sanya,
Assalamualaikum.
Wahaj,
Alaikum.
and Hafsa.
Assalamualaikum.
Alright, so today's topic we're going to be talking about relationship with your friends. Everyone's got friends, I hope. I don't know about Wahaj. But, we all need them. We all have them. And we rely on them heavily for living our life. And they influence us greatly. Sometimes even more than our family. So let's start off by kind of categorizing friends. Like what type of friends there are. So who wants to start?
There definitely are like friends that are like fake.
Fake friends? All right.
Fake friends. Or in other words, snakes.
Right, define fake friends.
Fake friends are like, I guess, like just to fit in your clique sometimes, or build like relationship with people you might know. If anything, like they're not there for you. Like if you ever need anything, they won't be there for you. And definitely, like, man, what I mean by snakes, they're like the friends that like they'll be cool with you like when you're in front of them, but like behind you, that's like when they backbite about you, talk about you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like I think like that's like a one category of type of friends, snakes.
Right, like they're only there for. They would be kind of like those friends that they're only there when they need you, but if you need them, they're not there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which is not something like I expect when I'm with friends. Like I'm like I always have your back. I don't expect you like give up your left arm for me, but like it's something that like they really care about you. It's not something that like they have to give up everything, but like they have to be like
they
I don't know how
want
to
to help
say
you, right?
They want to be helping out. They want to like look out for you. If I'm ever down or anything like that, if I'm ever going the wrong way, I want a friend that could like pick me up when I'm down.
Right.
Or going on the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's related to kind of what I was going to say. That there are like close friends and then some, I guess, distant friends or acquaintances. And you obviously hold higher expectations for your closer friends than people who you're friends with just because, you see them a lot, but you don't really have that much of a relationship with them.
How would you guys define like quote unquote best friend?
For me, a best friend is someone who is willing to tell you when you're doing something wrong. Because you have those friends they won't really correct you, but a best friend, like they're really looking out for you. So they really have your back. So when you're doing something, they're going to be harsh on you. And sometimes you just have to take it. So someone who's going to be real with you, basically, about everything.
Like a really good definition I heard one time was like, a good friend, if you like, let's say you're like dressed badly, you smell bad, whatever, like it's not a good day for you. A good friend would be like, oh, how's it going? You look good, whatever. Try not to hurt your feelings. Your best friend would be like, dude, you smell horrible. You dress up, you like lost your mirror at home. Go change. Like, what are you doing with your life? And they're able to do that because they're on a level with you that you understand them, and they understand you. Hopefully,
I think a best friend is also. I think a best friend is also someone who's been with you through it all. Like I know, my best friend, she's not Muslim. We've known each other since freshman year of high school, so we're like going about 8 years strong now. And so my mom always tells me that I know that she's your best friend because when I was in high school, I had just transferred from Islamic school. And so I was like this new kid and like, it was like a really big culture shock for me to go from like Islamic school to like public school. And so she became my friend like really early on in freshman year of high school. And so, my mom always tells me that like, I know that she's your best friend because, when everyone thought that like you were like the new weird kid, she was with you then. And she was with you throughout all of high school. And then even like now in college and now like we're graduating together. So, through all the ups and downs, like, we were there for each other.
All right. So there's a type of friend that you have like specifically for social media. These are friends that you talk to a lot online, but you've never never seen them in person or only seen them like once or twice. What do you guys think about those type of friends? Are they necessary? Do you need them?
I guess like they're cool. The thing is like those are the type of friends like they're so shy in the real world. because if anything, you like put up any status or picture and like that, they'll be the first to comment when you meet them. You'll say salam alaikum to them. They say salam back, and you ask them how they're doing, and they'll be like, fine. And like you're like, oh, how's everything going? Good. And like it's like they give like the most blunt answers. On social media, like I guess we talked about this before. It's always
they're like
easy
scholars on social media.
They're scholars on social media, and there's so much more to be like outgoing and social and everything like that. So like I guess they're good like to keep in touch, but I guess like it's that one friend that like I think from like a wine perspective, it's that one like friend that you'll have that like maybe like you could invite to YM maybe. Because if they're always on social media, because like for social media, I know for our neighbornet, it's like a big use for advertisement, everything like that. So like maybe like they might come to like if you have like a couple friends that are just like that, they're only on social media, you don't see them that much in real life. Maybe like you could invite them to like neighbornet or anything like that, or any other events. Like, I think like they benefit a little bit because you can bring them closer to deem that way, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Facebook friends are interesting because, I mean, you don't really know the person. Like, you know this person, but you don't know this person. It's very strange because like you're saying, like you meet them in real life and they're completely different than how they are online in terms of how they interact with people. But in terms of like, starting relationships, sometimes that's how it starts. So people even get married by meeting people online. Why are you shaking your head, Wahaj? It's not.
Bro, oh man, you gotta like, you can't marry somebody that's behind the screen, bro. Like that I meet behind the screen, bro. Like, come on, man.
Hey, man, everyone's got their own quirks.
That's scary. That scares me, man.
It's a lost plan, man. Can't.
That's cool though.
Anyways, anything more on social media friends before we move on? Or friends in general, the types of friends there are. Do we miss any type of friend? I feel like we only went over like two, like the bad friend and then the best friend. Oh, now we have social media friends. Okay. There's a needy friend that always.
Oh yes, definitely.
Go for it, Hafsa.
There's the needy friends who basically only come to you when they need something. You didn't talk to them for forever, and then all of a sudden it's, hey, can you help me with this, or can you do this for me? And I'm like, gosh, and then there's also going with that is they come to you for emotional support, but they don't give emotional support back. Does that make sense? I don't know, like
a one-way friendship.
Yes. So they want you to listen to all their problems, and maybe Allah has put you in their life exactly for that reason. But sometimes you're like, hey, I want to talk about what's going on in my life, and they just don't want to hear it. They just turn it right back to them. I feel like there's a word for that in psychology, isn't there? A word.
Egocentric?
Maybe. That might be the word.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, I understand. Like, I have a couple of those people that they only want to talk about themselves, and whatever the conversation is, they're like, yeah, so my problem's like this, and then you talk about something, but then they switch it back to them again. And they don't even realize that they're doing this, but that's just how they are. So that's one type of friend. Any other types that we're missing? All right. So let's go. We're gonna move on to a different question. How can friends be a distraction or a benefit?
I think like one thing that like I find like with a lot of friends is that like a lot of my friends, they're people with good hearts and everything like that. They're really good character, but they make some like the stupidest decisions in the world. Like they're really good-hearted people, but they make really dumb decisions.
It's like 99% it's like,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And so like, there's always like, so there'll sometimes be like the one guy in YM, and he's like, I want to be cool with them because they got good character and everything like that. And I like to have like friends that like have like that are really good, sincerely good-hearted people. The thing is like, it always takes me like, it always mind boggles me, man. This guy's a good guy, but by the decisions he makes, by the habits he has, would that reflect on me? And I talk like from what like I've experienced, and I talk to people about it. It's all about like the wisdom that you carry. If that friend, if you can take the good character from that friend, you can learn from his character. That's good. But his bad habits, you gotta stay away from it. That's what I took away from it. It's like you have, even with friendships, when you're choosing friends, you gotta have wisdom and you gotta be wise with it. Because really, you could even take the good characteristics, but you can take all the bad habits with you as well. But you just want like to even that out. You don't want to take any of the bad habits. You want to get good characteristics. If anything, you want to take the bad habits out of the person and carry that like good deeds and iman with you as you go on with that friendship.
Yeah, that's actually something that sorry.
Go ahead.
That's actually something that has been coming up a lot in my neighbornet when we meet for YM every week. We've been talking a lot about how if you have good friends, like that's going to rub off on you. But if you have bad friends, that's going to rub off on you too. And I remember hearing this analogy once that if you imagine yourself as like someone trying to save all of your friends from going into doing something bad, right? And you imagine all of your friends as being people who are hanging off of a cliff, but they're holding on to a rope and you're the one saving them, right? There's a higher chance that they're going to drag you off the cliff than you being able to lift all of them back up. So you have to remember that, like, if you're one person among a group of so many other people, there's a chance that they're collectively going to influence you more than you're going to influence all of them.
Exactly. And even in our NN this week, we talked about friends. And the hadith came up that a man is upon the religion of his friend. So we have to really be careful with who our friends are, because just like Sonia said, they're probably going to drag you down before you can pull them up. It always works like that. And it's like really interesting because people will make excuses for friends saying, they're not a bad influence to me. They don't rub off on me. But how many times I've met so many girls they don't curse, but all their friends curse. And then give it a year, the friend's cursing and they don't even recognize that they're cursing. They're like, no, I don't curse. I'm like, what are you talking about? You cursed 6 times within the last hour or something. It's little things, just as Shaitan works at you in small increments, bad friends rub off on you in small increments too.
But that's not to say that, the question was if friends are a distraction or a benefit. That's not to say that friends are always a distraction. Like, I know before I joined YM, I didn't have as much of an interest in things, listening to lectures on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was all there. But I was like, yeah, one day I'll get to it. But when I became more active in YM and I had a lot of friends in YM, I started doing this thing where a friend and I, we would say that, okay, we're going to in 1 month listen to so-and-so lecture. And at the end of, the month, we're going to have a Google Hangout or a call or something like that, or meet up. And we're going to talk about what we learned from that lecture. And so it's a lot easier to do good when your friends are doing good too.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely. I would say my interest for learning about Islam came from YM and the friends that I have. If it wasn't for them, I don't know if I would ever get that interest to study. We started off just having halaqas and researching a little bit, and they're like, okay, this isn't enough. Then we started going to Al-Maghrib classes. We're like, okay, this isn't enough. And then now we have a consistent study circle that we have with a shiur that teaches us and stuff like that. So kind of grew over time, the interest to learn. Yeah, definitely. I mean, friends can be a benefit too. They're gonna give you advice the most, right, on what you're gonna do in life. We talked about the whole peer pressure thing, and friends are obviously on the top of the food chain for that. So a lot of your life is going to be influenced by your friends, and it's going to be defined by them. All right, so let's move on a little bit something more deeper, and we're talking about healthy relationships. So how do you know if your relationship with your friends is a healthy one?
First and foremost, it needs to be a two-way relationship.
Well, let's first decide what is a healthy relationship.
I think the healthy relationship is that there's that trust, and then be open with them. That's the thing. I get open real quick with people. I guess I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if as long as I can be open with you, tell you what I'm thinking at the moment, and you can respond to it and give me advice on it, whether it's good or bad. That's one thing. And I feel like it's a good friendship with you, that if I feel cool with you and I'm open with you and you can be open with me, I feel like it's a strong friendship right there. And then just to move on from there, if you're open with each other, you'll know when to call out each other or pick one another up. And I think that's the best friendship, is that when you fall, you're able to pick each other up.
I was going to say, I agree completely. I was going to say that I think a healthy relationship is a more or less equal one. like, we talked about like friends who are needy and like a one-way kind of friendship. I don't think that's healthy when one person is constantly giving and the other person is receiving, because eventually at one point the person who's giving is going to burn out. And then, I mean, that's just not healthy for anyone. There's not much to really say about that.
It's like, how many times can you give $20 before you get tired?
Exactly.
Even if it's just someone constant, like what Hafsa was saying, that if someone needs you to be there for them, to listen to their problems, and you're there constantly providing them that support, but then when you need that same support, they're not there for you, that's really emotionally draining, and that's not healthy either.
Exactly. And a healthy relationship also means that there's serious conversations. It's not all about the frilly stuff. You're able to have a deep conversation with that person about life, or completely tell them about your feelings, like with the support, as Sunny was saying. Sometimes you find with friends that you only can hit the surface and your conversations don't go anywhere from there. And I don't think that's necessarily a healthy thing. Sometimes you actually need to get to the nitty gritty and the ugly stuff. And that's a really healthy relationship if you're able to talk about those things and then move on from it.
Mm-hmm. And like, if you can't have deep conversations with someone because you think you're going to offend them or something like that, then that's not really a friend that you... first of all, then that means you don't really know this person. So he's not really a good friend to you. You should first get to know this person before you have those conversations, or find someone else that already knows you better. So let's move on a little bit. Friends have a tendency to influence you a lot, and we know this. We talked about a little bit of it in the peer pressure effect. So let's go over some things like that friends can do to influence you in a good way or a bad way.
I can give an example of, I think one of the biggest influences, my friend, and that was when I started wearing hijab. When I joined YM and started actually hanging out with Muslims, because there was a point that I was not hanging out with any Muslims. So when I actually started joined YM and was around more people, and most of the girls are wearing hijab and you're like odd one out, they just talked to me and they encouraged me when I was thinking about it. It's really weird. I actually told my friends that I wanted to wear hijab before I even told my family. And because I was so scared to tell my parents, they just encouraged me like a lot. And they were like, we have your back. And they basically took any, things that I was scared about, like, oh, this is going to happen. They're like, no, it's really not like that. So any misconceptions that I had about wearing the hijab in America basically were dispelled by them. And then one summer I just started wearing it. That's like a big influence. And then even joining YM was influenced by my friends. It wasn't me just up and deciding I want to join YM. It just kind of happened through them. So I think that's the biggest influence.
I think your story highlights the need or the importance of having really good friends, right? Because sometimes, there are some things that friends might understand better than family, just because they're the same age as us. They're growing up in the same exact environment as we are. They've experienced some things that, we want to do, like, for example, wearing hijab, but we don't know how it's going to turn out. And so when you have the right kind of friends, then they can give you the right kind of advice.
So I want to open up kind of like a Pandora's box. So girls that have friends are way different than guys with friends. And I don't know, just in what I've experienced so far. Like, we guys can hate each other like for a year and then become best friends like the year after.
With Chai, of
course. But yep. I feel like girls have a harder time becoming friends again.
Yes.
Like, you guys still have beef with somebody for like the last 2-3 years? Like,
I'm not that type of girl, but I guess because we're way more emotional and we don't get over things as quickly. So I think that's we're very emotional. So you forget, but you forget. Wait, what is it? You forget, but you don't forget. That's I think that's a lot of girls. We remember everything.
I feel like it's harder to get into a group of friends for a girl. I don't know if that's true. Once like there's like a clique of girls, it's very hard for new girls to enter that clique. Is that true? Or am I just like going crazy?
No, that's true.
I don't know. I feel like in my experience, like I've seen this stuff, but I've also seen it not happen. Like I've seen girls like get into arguments with each other, but then like, be on not so friendly terms for like years, but then they grew up and they grew out of it. And like I've seen girls be in cliques and it's really hard to get into that clique, but I've also seen girls who have a very strong group and they're really cliquey with each other, but they do let other girls in their group. So I've seen both.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's getting so the dynamic of how guys interact is changing too. I feel like I don't know if this is just on the West Coast, but I've noticed that guys are becoming a lot more sensitive. I don't know, like it's not a good or bad thing. It's just different. During my time, like we would like have fun and we would be okay with making jokes at each other without worrying about people getting offended and butthurt. Because they'll just come back they'll just like, come right back at you. And then that's how we would like laugh and, have fun. Now it's like, if you make like an offensive joke, then the person gets all like hurt. I don't like, well, has that happened on the Chicago side?
No, we're pretty strong over here.
Okay.
No, I'm just playing. But like, no, the only time I've seen guys get really sensitive is like during camp, like YM camp. I guess like in the Holocaust when like, it's kind of a different situation. Like, they open up a little bit more. Others that you don't really expect to open up, they get kind of sensitive. In terms of like just chilling and stuff like that, and saying something like, "Oh, I find that offensive" and stuff like that. Honestly,
they'll never say that, but they'll just like get super butthurt, and then they'll just keep it inside, and like you'll see it. Like, they won't say it, but you'll feel it. And then it just gets awkward.
Yeah, that's true. Like, 'cause guys always feel, but they never show.
Yeah. So I think it's like because of the whole like PC era, I like to call it, where like we have to be like politically correct of everything that we do and say. It's really affecting. I feel like the younger guys a lot more, where they get offended super easily. I don't know. Is this the same with the girls?
I don't know, because I like this happens to me a lot. Like my brother will tell me about like he went to YM. My brother is 16 and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I went to YM and this happened and this guy said this and I said this," and I'd be like, "Oh my God, that's so mean." And he was like, "No, we do this all the time." And I'm like, "What?"
There you go.
So
my faith in the younger generation has been restored. Thank you.
All right, I'm glad. But I definitely, there is a difference in like, the way that guys and girls interact, because I know that if what happens, like what goes down in the guys' neighbor nets happen in the girls' neighbor nets, there would be no neighbor nets.
Agreed. Yeah.
So let's move on to, I think it's like one of our final thoughts is getting like advice from friends. A lot of the times when we need help, the first person we go to isn't our parents, isn't like a sheikh or a scholar. It's our friends, the people that are closest to us. They'll give you advice based on what they know, and depending on what type of friend it is, it'll be good or bad. Can you guys think of an example where, you like needed advice and you went to a friend and you got bad advice or good advice?
I think
bad advice that has gotten bad advices. The friend of a friend in quotes.
I think like people, they give advice from what they've experienced in their own lives. So like if you know what this dude has experienced in his own life, then like he's gonna give you his perspective. And if I know that like if I know one brother, he's experienced a lot in Deen, like he's taken a lot of classes, very knowledgeable, and like he's dealt with situations before, he's gonna give like his own advice. So for example, Abdurrahman, man, he likes a girl. And he talks to one of his friends about it. He's not really experienced about it. This dude, he's like had some past girlfriends and everything like that. Obviously, he's gonna tell her like, okay, go ask her out. But if like he talks to somebody like his older brother, who's a really good guy, and he has experience with YM and everything like that, he's gonna give him the advice to be patient, wait for it, get to know her a little bit better. Point is, when you're going to like get advice, you should kind of expect it, but you shouldn't know exactly. You're not going to know exactly what they're saying, but you should go to that person that like definitely has experience, and you should kind of have a perspective of what's gonna come out. Because sometimes when we look for advice, we just want to know, like, we want people to tell us like whether it's right or wrong. And I feel sometimes I feel like it's that way when I'm getting advice. I just want to feel like I just want somebody to tell me no, and so I won't do it. Or if like I just want somebody to tell me yes, I go to that person that'll tell me yes. So you have to be definitely like wisdom. I mean, I'm mentioning wisdom again. Wisdom is a big thing when you're going to ask for advice. Like I always try to go for like the right friends when you're asking for advice.
So I feel like you're saying two things there is having different types of friends that are good at different things,
Mm-hmm.
so that when you need advice, you can go to that person that knows it best, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go to, for example, let's say you go into someone that is, let's say he's really good at, he knows the dean very well, but he's not very good with his finances, and you're gonna go to him for financial advice, you're gonna have a bad time. So having a good array of friends that can help you out in different ways helps, and being that person that can also help others. It's not like a whole just taking from other people. You know, you have to be like, what are you good at? What can you offer to your friends? And know your friend, like, you have to offer more than just, oh, I'm a good friend.
And like,
I also
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I really liked what you said about how if sometimes you're getting advice from a certain friend, you might go to someone who you know is gonna say yes to whatever you're saying because you just want that reassurance from someone else. But if you sincerely want advice, you're gonna go to someone who knows what's right, not just what you want to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's a fight between the nuffs too, kind of, man. And you're like going to get advice.
For sure.
Yeah, I always tell like my friends to, like, whenever I ask you for advice, like, give me the harshest possible version of your advice, because like I don't want you to think that you can hurt my feelings or whatever. And it's great. It's like, I think I told you guys before, you know, when I was president for my MSA, like we did this thing where we did trash talk the president for every general meeting. We took time where you would basically anything that you saw wrong in the MSA, you would be able to speak out against. And I was not allowed to say anything. I just had to sit there and like write down all the things that were wrong. It was pretty great. And because of that, like, we learned a lot. And I think this kind of goes back to like having thick skin. And what I was saying earlier is, you know, people, even when they give you advice, sometimes they're not meaning to, they might not even mean to hurt you, but you get offended. And if you get offended, then you stop listening to this person. You immediately like cut this person off, and you don't want to hear anything this person has to say because you feel offended now. To me, like, even someone that, let's say, like, really hates you and says like, dude, you're such a horrible person, you know, you do this and this wrong. The reason that they might be saying that is because there might be, like, you never know, there might be a level of truth in that. And maybe you're just too arrogant to see it, or it's just not, you can't see that. But really, the people that don't like you can give you the best advice on how to improve.
Exactly. Going off of that, through college, I have this motto in life that if something offends me, then that usually means that it's right. So I always will, for some reason, when someone offends me, that's when I really, really think about what they've said. And I usually find the truth in it. I'm like, yeah, that is kind of true. But that comes with really knowing yourself and being open with yourself. Through that, I've learned to also be like a better friend, because I have one friend who always, she's like, okay, give me advice. She's like, give me your harshest advice. She's like, completely be straight up with me. And for a long time, I was kind of scared to do it. And then now I just kind of say whatever I'm feeling. And then she's like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. So it's having a thick skin, but it's also being very open to what people have to say, because you need to listen to people. Because if it offends you, that means there is some truth in it, like Brother Abdul said.
You guys ever have those type of friends that like right now I'm only 19, but like when I go to my neighborhood, like there's like a lot of like younger kids that even make me look old. So
Man, if you're old, I'm like ancient, bro.
Yeah, so like like the friends that I have that are like my generation, like my age, 18, 19, 20, and that generation age, all of them like they don't come to YM no more. And what it is, like a new generation, like a new batch of kids came in that are like in high school right now. And like they kind of took over and mostly came. So like when I go to YM, like I look at them and like I get like their perspective. But when I'm outside of YM and college, everything like that, guys come up to me like, man, you still go to YM, bro? Like, snaps, man, you're old. Man, I'm only 19. I'm like, they're like the kids that come there, they're probably like 2-3 years like younger than us. They're like, no, man. One thing that I've noticed that like the guys that like left, like YM, like they were never like passed like down the stone or anything, like passed down like passed down anything to them or anything like that. They were just there for like maybe like just to chill, like
get have fun, and then move on.
Yeah, have their own clique then, and just like they just moved on real quick. But like another thing, like man, it's cool, man. Like I'm gonna get kicked out when I'm 25, but like until then, I'm just trying to kick it, man. It's just amazing because like you get such like a different perspective. Like from my generation of guys, like why do you still go, man? You're just hanging out with kids. Like no, but I love it, man. Like I can't leave.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting the perspective and like the opinions that you get from like older guys compared to like what you have like right now at YM. And the thing is like they have like the same thinking and perspective as like the kids who right now at YM. And hopefully it doesn't change and hopefully they stay and like they're able to grow with YM and not move on. But it's just amazing how like things change with friends, like how like quickly like within like 2-3 years they change.
Yeah, like some people it's hard for them to understand that hey, like this, like there's a bigger purpose to like why we have these meetings, like why we have YM, and it's to build that sort of brotherhood. And alhamdulillah, like they were able to come to YM, make friends, and then leave with those friends. Like now they have inshallah like a solid clique of friends that they'll have. That's one of the goals of YMs too, is to be able to create that strong bond between Muslim brothers. And there's people that see the greater purpose and they stay and they teach the younger generation like, hey, like this is how you do it, so that when it's time for us to leave, that they know what they're doing, so that they can pass it on to the younger generation. Cool. I think that's pretty much it for friends. Does anyone have any closing remarks? Anyone want to admit that they don't have any friends and this was all just a lie?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. That's pretty much it. Thank you everyone for listening. This has been YM Unscripted, and we'll see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum.